Take the news thing out of there. There we go. All right, what are we doing? I'm going to have a glass of water.
Well, we're already live.
We are. All right, you ready?
Should we stretch it out just so we get a longer session? Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right. I really hope our last episode was 214. Yeah, I think it was.
Well, you updated the run sheet last time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I just opened the wrong one now, so that's all right.
Okay.
I don't need that tab open, I think. Yep, no, that's fine now. I don't need that tab open either, so that's fine. Okay. How are we doing? Shall we get a move on? Let's talk about things and let's get started, shall we?
Yes, let's talk about things and Transformers too.
Yes. Stuff and nonsense. Do you like stuff?
I think I'm more leaning towards nonsense. How about you?
No, I believe that. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's get a move on so that Brad stops rolling his eyes at us when he edits.
Well, if he wants to stop rolling his eyes, tell him to actually be on the friggin' show.
Don't do that again. That was way too loud. All right, ready? We do have someone watching, so we better actually do something.
That's probably Brad, actually.
Maybe. All right, welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. This is a Sunday night special edition. We're going to be talking about Hasbro's latest Fan First Friday reveals. This is episode 215. We are recording live on Sunday, the 19th of July. This is where the opening credits will get edited in. And
shouldn't you have said we're going to be talking about Fan First Friday? We'll be back after this.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You gotta mix it up a little bit. You gotta keep it fresh.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Welcome to this Sunday night special edition of Australian Transformers Weekly. We are going up with a twofer this week. It's myself. I'm Jason coming to you from Sydney, and Bradley coming to me from about as far away as he could be while still remaining in Australia. That is Perth, where I believe the time zone difference is so great between Sydney and Perth. I think you've yet to have Fan First Friday there. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a bit of a time delay.
Yeah, me very concerned there for a minute. It's like this podcast is reaching into the past by bringing Perth with it into our time zones. Now. Thanks for that. So Bradley, did you stay up on Friday afternoon and watch the Fan First Friday reveals, or did you go to sleep like the rest of Australia?
I was actually awake during it, but I didn't partake in the watch party. But I did look at the news and reveals that had come up immediately after, and I was like, "Ooh, want it all."
Well, so you were watching anyway, so it didn't matter. You didn't need the news reveals. So I actually did stay up. We ran a bit of a watch party, as you mentioned, in the TCCA discussion group. Didn't quite go the way that I thought it would, but it was 11:30 at night. So, you can never really tell what people are going to do at 11:30 on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem that we had, so we used the Facebook Messenger, the Facebook feature, which is rooms, which makes a room for the people who are in your group to join, but only 8 people can join max. So if you got a group like us with 4,000 people in it, I don't really know what's going to happen in terms of getting the right people into the room. You can fiddle with the settings and stuff, but the biggest problem that I think I've had with the way that rooms works is that you don't get like an internal chat. So when you're talking about stuff, if people want a link to something, you have to send it to them elsewhere on Messenger, which can just really distract from actually being in the room. So I don't know. We may not do that again. Next time there's a Fan First Friday reveal, we may actually run a live stream like this, like we've done for the podcast. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I did legit feel bad that I missed the watch party, but now that I found out it was only limited to 8 people, I sort of wonder if I tried to join it, I probably wouldn't have been able to join it.
We only had about 6 people because it was 11:30 on a Friday night. Everyone's drunk and sleeping. It's fine.
Fair enough.
So yes. Anyway, let's without further ado, let's get into what was actually revealed on the night. We've got a litany of images to go through here, and we'll talk about sort of the grouping of what was revealed, and then we'll talk about how we're going to go about acquiring them, or if we're going to acquire them at all. Now, first up, there were some new Generation Selects. Now, these Generation Selects figures have been rumored for so long that they've already found their way into collectors' hands. I've seen a bunch of people on Twitter around the UK and Europe posting photographs of these guys, especially the second one that we'll be talking about. But first up, we are talking about the first ever retool of Earthrise Cliffjumper. He is coming out as Hubcap. Now, Hubcap's a name that goes right back to Generation 1 as sort of a retool or fiddling around of Cliffjumper and Bumblebee. So it's kind of a nice homage. And he does, in fact, he's a yellow version of Cliffjumper with that bright orange head. And he also comes with the bazooka attachment and thus the water skis for really no reason, but that's okay. Like, we love it anyway. This is actually probably one of the nicest molds that has come out of the first wave of Earthrise, I think. Yeah, go
on. The first picture we're looking at with the car mode and the cannon, I don't know if is that a hubcap thing? So I don't think Cliffjumper's instructions show that. I think it shows Cliffjumper as a ski machine, doesn't it?
You can do either. So the if you can see my mouse, the skis go onto the side of the gun here.
Yeah.
And then you just plug the gun into the port on his back. My Cliffjumper is around here somewhere. I don't think he's within reach because I have a cat on my lap. I can probably get him. Hang on. Wait. Let's see what happens here. Let's see how annoyed my cat gets.
Remember, you don't want to be yelling on the stream.
No, I don't. So just, hang on. I'll just hold the cat steady there. All right, cool. We're back. Let me just take the news away there for now. So if I hold him up there, Cliffjumper does indeed have a 5mm port on top of him. So if we put the news back in, you can see that gun is assembled all hanging on a 5mm piece.
Yep. I see it now.
So yeah, you can do that with Cliffjumper. I'm not sure that Hubcap is necessarily known for the same heavy artillery as Cliffjumper, but that's fine. It's just part of what happens when you retool the mold, I guess.
I think Hubcap was just known as what you would get if Cliffjumper and Bumblebee somehow had a child. I don't think it was known as much else.
That is creepy and weird, but also weirdly correct. So there's Hubcap. He is, of course, a deluxe figure, so he'll be appearing at the deluxe price point. We'll talk about availability after this. So going with a partner for Ironworks, Hasbro's also announced Grease Pit, another Micromaster base from the old G1 days. This one turns into, as you can see in the photograph, a bit of he's sort of a service station if you kind of tilt your head, blur your eyes, and look from the sort of corner of your eyes. He doesn't really look like a service station. He's just, there are pumps. There's petrol pumps.
You see the sign saying Super Gasoline. You're like, okay, and then you look at the Bowsers, and you're like, oh, they're Bowsers. You wouldn't know they were Bowsers if it wasn't for that Super Gasoline sign.
You're probably right. Also, this it feels to me like I think they've tried to keep to the layout of the original Grease Pit. So in fact, I have the original Grease Pit around here somewhere, but I think he's in a box down in the basement. I think they've kept to the layout of it because I've got to tell you, there is no way that Bowser and Road layout is actually functional as a functioning service station, because you generally need to be able to have cars pull up either side of the Bowser, and one of those sides has Road and the other side has about a 2-story drop by the looks of it.
The only thing, maybe if you had like a Winnebago that had, that was like 2 stories tall, maybe you could park it on the other side.
I rode past a Winnebago today. This is hilarious.
The only other thing, this could be designed for, those cars that have the gas in the back behind the rear license plate. That's the only way this could really work.
Yeah, but like he's going to fall off the ramp. He's going to fall off the ramp as he puts it on. Like, sorry, I'm just going to tease or anything. You have to actually fill the tank to stop your car falling off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good upsell. I don't really know what's meant to be going on over with the thing on the left. Like, it's clearly sort
that's
of
a convenience store.
Is it though? Like, it looks like it's kind of meant to be some kind of a workshop. The car wash of Doom, the classic Marvel comic, is represented here. I guess. Like it's more of a reference to the classic toy than anything else. But he does have a robot mode, which I don't believe you'll find the classic toy had. Now, not only does he have a robot mode like Ironworks, you can pull him apart and put him back together, and so you can also combine some of his parts with Ironworks.
And he's also a Decepticon. I didn't know that before.
Oh, yes, too. Well, maybe you can't combine him with Ironworks.
you can, but you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. It never really goes well when you put them both together. I like his colors. It looks nice. There's nice blues. And I like the yellow on it. This is actually these are actually good because these are actually photos of the toy itself. Whereas later on we sort of get into the render territory. But I think it's pretty good.
I'm looking at the head sculpt and I'm thinking this is just Jazz from the first Michael Bay movie with some cosplay armor on.
It could be. You can certainly break him in two.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So the third generation select reveal was also rumored for quite a long time. This one is Exhaust. He is a repaint of Wheeljack with the classic. So he's a reference to the classic Diaclone deco of the Wheeljack mold, which did have a Marlboro promotional paint on it, which for oh gosh, I don't know, reasons unknown. I don't know, Hasbro and Takara have found this problematic in recent years.
I heard only recently, that cigarettes can actually be detrimental to your health, but I don't know if that's true or not.
You only heard this recently? That's
yeah.
So in days gone by, there would have been a large Marlboro sticker on the front of this. That won't happen for obvious reasons, but he is a really nice looking Wheeljack remold, and of course there is actually a re-sculpt of the head, or the head is a new sculpt, which does look like the Masterpiece version of Exhaust. So Exhaust is a character that hasn't really existed in Transformers for quite a while. He sort of sprung into existence when they released the Diaclone themed repaint of the Masterpiece figure a few years ago. But his head sculpt is really, really quite impressive. And this guy almost looks like a little mini Masterpiece in that respect. You can also see at this size and shape, his faction logo is neither Autobot nor Decepticon. He is a mercenary. Now, we have been told that mercenaries make their presence known during Earthrise in Phase 2 of War for Cybertron. We haven't really seen any mercenaries in the stuff that's come out yet. I suspect that the Quintessons might come under the mercenaries. Title, but I'm not really sure. Either way, it's sort of a cute new faction that they've introduced for the purpose of plot.
Yeah, a cute new faction. Oh, look at the mercenaries. They're so cute.
Oh, look at them. They're tiny little mercenaries. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this guy because I've liked, obviously the Marlboro version. I haven't been able to actually get a toy of it because I don't collect Masterpiece, but this looks like it's going to be like a dead set buy for me. The only other problem I have now is I've got Autobot shelves, I've got Decepticon shelves.
Oh, you need to go to IKEA and buy a new shelf.
I haven't got any room.
Well, you can get away with it with like a box. There's not that many mercenary figures, and there's probably not likely to be. Like, they may not revisit the faction again for quite some time. Who knows? Now we are seeing these guys, all three of them, go up for pre-order internationally. You can pre-order them from Hasbro Pulse if you're in the States. If you're looking to order from the States, you can get them at places like Big Bad Toy Store as well. Excuse me. I believe they have been listed at OMA Primus. And some news that arrived over the weekend, Griffin from Ozformers said that Grease Pit and Hubcap will be coming to EB Games in September. So it's only a month and a bit to wait. Sadly, Grease Pit and Hubcap coming to EB Games. Exhaust seems to have been left out in the cold. So maybe we'll talk ordering strategies a little bit later on in the show. But keep keep local availability, especially like, I mean, if you're in Australia, if you're listening in the UK, you probably want to have a look at Kapow Toys. And yeah, anywhere else internationally, like it's kind of wherever you can get it really. But the Generation Selects generally do make their way into Asia, and I've seen them in Toys R Us in Hong Kong and Singapore. So yeah, they're not too hard to find, but if you're expecting them to turn up in a shop in Australia that you can walk into and buy them, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those special collector shops with probably a fairly high price tag.
Maybe. So it is worth noting that these guys have a standard price tag for their price point.
Okay.
So they're not actually that. They're not actually. Well, I mean, that much more expensive. I think they're about $20 each. I think the regular price point, sorry, US dollars. Yeah. The regular price point for these guys is probably, I think, about 16 to 17 US dollars possible. It might have crept up a little bit. It tends to fluctuate, but they're not out of band expensive. But because of the way that you have to acquire them, if they were to make it to a store in Australia, they would be more expensive.
Yeah.
And so you probably will be paying a little bit more for the privilege of importing them. Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay.
So we've had the Netflix toys hit Kmart in the last couple of months, and I think successful is a bit of an understatement. They've actually been flying off shelves, which could be a product of scarcity. So it's been a while since we've had new Transformers released here. It's the first new Transformers for a while, even though they're kind of old Transformers, but with new paint jobs. But Kmart came out with their exclusivity on them, and they've done really well. Now, the bad news is that Netflix Wave 2 is, again, according to Griffin from Ozformers, not going to come to Kmart in Australia. Apparently, Kmart's deal was only for Wave 1. However, you can find them listed on international retailers like Primus, and you can also, if you've got freight forwarding set up, you can probably order them from Walmart.com and ship them via something like ComGateway. Now, without further ado, let's have a look at the figures that they've actually announced in here. Now, we're only just starting to see Earthrise RC come to market, and we're already getting a repaint of her in Elita 1. Now, there are a couple of little differences in, I believe it's the fenders or some of the parts at the front of the vehicle mode, and there's also the I'm not sure if it's translucent on RC. I was going to say the pointy thing at the top. Yeah. And if you look at the robot mode now, here we've gone from actually looking at photographs of the toys to looking at 3D renders. So I dare say these figures will not look as good as they do in here when you get them in hand. They, for one, will not have glowing eyes. However, Elita 1, definitely an RC repaint, you can tell with that backpack. But I also find that her backpack seems a little bit less offensive than RC's because it's darker. Her colors are definitely darker, and so I think the backpack you kind of tend to notice a little bit less. There's also obviously a new head sculpt for her as well, and the translucent weapon. Not sure if RC's weapon is translucent, but I don't believe it is. So
yeah, it is.
So you do get something a little bit different. It's better than the original Netflix release of Chromia, where they'd just sort of taken the same figure and just slapped a bit of a different paint job on it.
Yeah.
And I say a bit of a different, I mean a very slightly different paint job. But this is definitely a much more interesting repaint of RC, I think, and a retool with that new head design. So Elita 1 is a deluxe figure. Now, we mentioned Chromia being a figure that sort of didn't really warrant its repaint. Speaking of which, hey, there's a repaint of Wheeljack coming for the Netflix series. When we say repaints, like obviously the Netflix series has gone all out on the scuffing and the battle damage that we saw introduced in the Siege line. So these figures look a lot more banged up than their Siege counterparts. Although it's worth noting that Elita 1 appears to not have much battle damage on her.
Yet.
So yeah, possibly not yet. So they have been sort of like putting it on some figures and not others. So we'll see how we go. Wheeljack, the difference is really just in sort of how scuffed up the paint applications are. They look a little bit lighter. His green and red, they look a little bit lighter and a little bit more scuffed. And I mean, let's be honest, it looks like Wheeljack's not really been having a good day of it, right?
That looks like you could do a diorama from the 86 colored movie. And the brief cameo that Wheeljack has in that movie.
Yeah, it didn't end well, but yes.
Yeah.
So look, anyway, so Wheeljack is in the siege line. So there he is. Another carryover and a sort of minor repaint is Impactor. Now we're looking at the tank mode for Impactor here. He does have way more battle damage and scuffing on him than the siege version did. So I think it's a little bit more effective in this case. But if you already have Impactor, you probably don't really need to get him again. But it looks like there's possibly some chroming on some of the weapons as well. We'll see how that goes when it arrives in a box. Like the Netflix figures have had a little bit of a shiny paint job in some cases. Like Megatron's definitely shinier than his regular Siege counterpart. So yeah. And there is the robot mode now. It's notable that this version of Impactor is an Autobot, but it's been hinted very heavily that he may not be an Autobot in the Netflix series.
And he's also got a much bigger faction symbol too. Well, at least this is still a rendering, isn't it? It's not an actual. Yes. Yeah.
So there were 2 releases of Impactor in Siege. One was in the Amazon 2-pack, and the other was the deluxe one. One was an Autobot, and one was a Decepticon. This does appear to be the Decepticon one sort of done over as an Autobot. So yeah. Next deluxe off so there's 5 deluxes. So another repaint, Red Alert. Now this. The red on this Red Alert, I don't know if it's just the CG rendering, but it does seem a lighter, almost more pinkish or purplish red. Maybe
metallic?
It's shiny. Maybe it's metallic, yeah. And of course, there's the scuff marks all over him with the battle damage paint. Like the side swipe mold from Siege is fantastic, but I just don't feel like that. I don't feel the need to go back to the well again. There's already been a side swipe in Netflix. We've had side swipe. We've had G2 side swipe. There was and there was Red Alert in the main Siege line.
Yeah.
There's even the Back to the Future figure, Gigawatt.
We've got what's it, Tiger Track?
Yes, Tiger Track is coming as well. I mean, it's a great mold, so I'm not really surprised that they keep coming back to it. But yeah, I don't really feel the need to buy it again.
I honestly think this would probably be the least popular of use of this mold. I don't really see. I mean, there's no. It's literally the same toy, and there's more battle damage, but he's still got the Cybertronics on his chest. There's just nothing. Like, I mean, the Wheeljack one and everything, they're all. I think it's a different color white, but this Red Alert just looks a bit scuffier to me.
Yeah. The next figure is notable in this discussion of scuffier versus originality, but damn it, I don't really feel the need to collect this Red Alert. I've already got a Red Alert on the shelf behind me. So, having said all of that, we've said that there's a tendency to repaint existing figures and just scuff them up a little bit or retool them into new figures. This one's quite the retool. There's a really impressive looking Bumblebee coming along in the Netflix line. Now, he is a retool of Cliff Jumper. He's quite the retool on the shell that forms the main part of the car. And they've also left the battle damage off this version. Now, we are expecting to see Bumblebee come out in the next phase of War for Cybertron, but that won't be until next year, we assume. So if you want a Bumblebee that sort of fits in with your Siege figures, or your Siege or your Earthrise figures, this is going to be the way to go. He is a deluxe, and he looks like he's got shiny wheels. There are in fact VW logos on his wheels. And the mix of that bright yellow paint and the translucent blue on his windows looks fantastic. It looks like he's almost straight out of the G1 cartoon. Now, being a retool of Cliff Jumper, he does come with Cliff Jumper's bazooka. That's fine, and he's got a very, very Bumblebee head sculpt. And like Cliffjumper, the rear of the car sort of becomes a shield that he can carry with him. I do personally think it's a fantastic looking Bumblebee, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on either this one or the more traditional mainline War for Cybertron when he's released.
Yeah, when I saw Bumblebee, I was like, it could be interesting, and then I was like, I've got Titans Return. To me, when I saw Titans Return a few years ago, I was like, yes, that is a definitive Classics Bumblebee. And then you see the photos of this guy's alt mode, so like an officially endorsed product, I'm guessing.
Well, he's got VW logos on his wheels, so definitely. I mean, like, let's be honest, Hasbro's friendly with VW since the Bumblebee movie.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy is sort of like maybe replacing, maybe not.
So I think it's interesting though. Like you said that the Titans Return is the definitive version of Classics Bumblebee, and that's true. Classics Bumblebee is not the G1 Bumblebee. So this becomes a sort of a more definitive update to the G1 figure, I think, more than anything else. But I think he's definitely like the Bumblebee that we know and love. He's got sort of the pipey arms and the obvious VW alt mode. So yeah, I don't know, I'm really into it.
The only thing I'm concerned about though is some of the Bumblebees that have had the painted blue plastic painted yellow have sort of had uneven colors throughout the whole toy. So I'm just wondering if this guy might be susceptible to that. Like the Masterpiece Bumblebee, I had a friend of mine who was trying to get one, but every time he saw one, it was always mismatched colors. So I'm just wondering.
So you're saying like around where the windscreen and the windows, that's likely to be one piece with yellow paint on it?
Yeah, that's what's happened in the past. But and I imagine for something this small, they wouldn't actually have, like individual blue pieces. I imagine it'll just be all one piece painted yellow.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So you can see the back detaches. There's definitely a sort of a gap there, but I would say that's likely all one piece with paint applied onto it. So you could be onto something there. We'll find out eventually. These are due for release in a couple of months' time. I think maybe sometime in October, I believe. Let's move on from the deluxes. We'll talk about the Voyagers. Now, we don't have to talk about the Voyagers very long because in Wave 1, they released, what were the Voyagers? Megatron and Hotlink. We are continuing to have the Voyager Decepticons outnumber the Autobots, but what an Autobot. So Hasbro is taking the Earthrise Prime, which has been very well received by the community, and they are dumping the trailer and releasing him at a Voyager price point, which we always knew he was. But they're also adding a golden version of Taraxodon and a golden version of whatever this dude's name is. He's a ramp. So you get a golden axe and a golden ramp with Optimus Prime at a Voyager price point.
Is he a ramp or is he a jet?
I'm pretty sure that these guys turn into ramps.
Okay, because the only other ramp bot I knew of was that Viper dude.
Slitherfang?
Yeah.
There was also Sound Barrier in Wave 1. I'm pretty sure this is a repaint of Sound Barrier.
Now that you mention it, I do see the little sort of ruffled edges on the top, which are used to attach to other ramps. So yeah. Yeah,
that's true. The simplest transformation: flip his back down and flip him over. He's done. But let's not complain too much about that because there's plenty more to complain about coming up. Earthrise Optimus Prime has been very well received. It looks like they've sort of toned back the blue in his chest windows. Not sure if they've changed any of the other colors on him, but very, very, very good mold, and you might be able to tell them apart in future if there are slightly different colors.
Do you think they've done something to his chest because you can't see the matrix?
You can't see the matrix on the Earthrise Prime.
Oh.
No, his windows are solid.
I know. It's just because I've got Earthrise Prime, but I just put him in the shelf yesterday. So, but yeah, this just looks. It's weird. Like in War for Cybertron, we got an Optimus Prime without a trailer. In Earthrise, we get Optimus Prime with a trailer, and this is a Netflix one, isn't it?
Yes.
We're getting the Prime that came with a trailer, except without a trailer. So it's just
turns out the trailer is like cake, and it's a lie. But
yeah.
So let's move on from Optimus Prime over to Soundwave. Now, we did hear rumors that we were getting a new Soundwave in the Netflix line. It turns out it's not a new Soundwave. It is the Siege Soundwave. However, as we said, they've been applying or not applying the battle damage paint onto these guys as they see fit. And this Soundwave is battle damage free. So he's got that clear window in the chest, and he makes it look a lot more like his sort of cartoon appearance. And this one definitely has a tape deck mode, and doesn't it look gorgeous?
It looks amazing. This might be... I think for the last decade, my Soundwave has been device label Soundwave. Simply because every other Soundwave hasn't really been Soundwavy. Yeah. But this one's looking pretty good.
This one is looking pretty good. I mean, you could make this... I'm pretty sure you could make this deck out of the Siege figure, but they preferred to have his alt mode officially be a spaceship for some reason.
Yeah.
But along with Soundwave, you also get a battle damage-less or slightly repaint. I don't think Laserbeak and Ravage had battle damage on them anyway. Laserbeak and Ravage were shell forming to hell in Australia. They were absolutely everywhere. Suddenly they've disappeared. Makes me think maybe Hasbro took them all back and they've given them an extra coat of paint to pack them in with Soundwave. So it comes with a Laserbeak and Ravage. Ravage is still puny as fuck, but there's not much we can do about that. I really don't like the leg design on Ravage, but it is what it is. This is this generation's version of Ravage. So
he looks more like an armadillo than a cat.
Maybe. Now, like Wave 1, there was very strangely. So you have to remember the timing wise. Wave 1 of the toys were supposed to come out about the same time as the cartoon. The cartoon slipped to like a week or so from now, and so the creation of the spoiler box came about with the Wave 1 announcements of the figures earlier in the year. You were meant to have the spoiler box there and open it as you watched the show. It didn't really work out that way because people just bought it and went, oh, look, it's Ultra Magnus, and he looks like he's been left on the barbecue too long. We're going back to that well. We've got a spoiler box in Wave 2. It is a leader class figure, and we're not entirely sure what is inside. There's a couple of front running candidates. One is that it's a repaint of Shockwave, he's sort of the main leader that hasn't seen another run since Siege and the Galactic Man repaint in Gen Select. The other front run candidate is that he's a dead Optimus Prime. So there's a couple of notable things. There is a Decepticon logo on the top of it, and they have been very smart in not showing us the full 4 sides of the box, because the original spoiler box in Wave 1 had a picture of Ultra Magnus on the left-hand side of it.
Yeah, I saw a few rumors as to who it was. There was one name. I think it started with a G, but I can't remember who it was. But yeah, this is just... it's very, very weird. I mean, yeah, it's a good idea for now, having a spoiler box so no one knows what it is, but
in a week and a half's time, it won't matter. But we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see. We'll find out. It is notable that... Is it notable? I don't know. The Cybertronian text on the top left of the box apparently doesn't make as much sense as it did in the first version, where it came out as Battlefield Rung, and there is in fact a rung inside it. I'm not sure what the first word was translated to, but the second word looked like it was Geezer, which is a reference to a sword weapon in Transformers lore. So it's possible that one of the battle masters might be one that turns into a weapon or something.
When you said Geezer, I immediately assumed
Geezer. Oh no, yeah. Put your white shoes on, Geezer. Come on. I know.
We're getting cut.
Geezer, as in the Egyptian location, is in Giza.
Oh, Giza. Okay.
So there's a... We've only really bothered with the front of that box because there's not much else to see on it. I'd be really disappointed if they've gone for a dead Prime and a live Prime in the same wave. I kind of feel like it's not going to be a dead Prime, but who knows?
Well, I mean, at the same time, we're getting that alternate universe Sleep Prime as well, so I don't think they go for that with this. At least I hope not.
If it's a Sleep Prime or a Dead Prime, maybe it'll be the original Siege version. There was a release of that in Japan, but not in the West. So anyway, let's talk a little bit quickly about availability. So Kmart apparently did not put their hands up for Wave 2 of this, which, if you look at everything that Kmart has ordered over the last couple of years, Wave 1 tends to shell form, so it's not really too much of a surprise that they've gone, yeah, no, that's fine, we'll just take Wave 1. But it's not looking likely that these will come to Australia or at least come to Kmart. They may strike a deal with someone else, but we'll see. You can currently order them from Walmart and forward through something like Com Gateway. You can get them at Oh My Primus. And you never know, some of our local importers might get their hands on some stock as well. If it's listed at Oh My Primus, I think it's a good sign that Hasbro Asia will probably distribute it, so maybe it'll turn up at some of our other stores. All right. We're going to go on to the next reveal. Is a couple of Amazon 2-packs. Now, these are Amazon exclusive, and how you get them does actually bear some discussion. First of all, we are going to talk about the Autobot Alliance. Now, this is a 2-pack of deluxe figures. We have Prowl and Ironhide. These are the Earthrise versions of these figures. Now, Prowl. So we've got Ironhide on screen. He looks a lot like his Siege version, but obviously with a few bits retooled. He's got a sort of a more Earth style windscreen. And it looks like the top of his trailer actually detaches and becomes a shield in this version, rather than the sort of his whole body sort of collapsing onto the main structure of the vehicle. Now, the head sculpt looks a little bit more G1-ish with the paint job on it, and he's got a tiny little gun instead of the giant bazooka that he had in Siege. But I'm pretty sure that we are looking at what does appear to be a retool of the Siege version.
This looks a lot like the Siege version, except his shield in robot mode looks like it folds up. So it looks like it's, that sled mode that we got in War for Cybertron Siege, but with like padding on top.
Yes. Yeah, it does look like that. Now, we have also seen a new version of the Datsuns coming out for Earthrise. It's not entirely clear whether these are retools or new molds. Like, I think if we look at what's been done to Ironhide, it's possible that this is sort of a bit of a retool of these figures from Siege. They do look way more Earth-like. Prowl's got his police branding on him, and the sort of the translucent blue windows and red police bar on him, and I think he's also got pretty much a better looking face there as well. Now, we have seen that Smokescreen is coming into the general release line with this mold, and so it's I think it's interesting to look at seeing Ironhide and Prowl come out of the main line where they were for Siege and become exclusives in Earthrise, whereas we've seen in Siege Ratchet and Smokescreen were exclusives. They came in under sort of restricted distribution, Generation Selects, that kind of thing. And now we've seen Smokescreen go into the general release in Earthrise, and so my suspicion is that we're going to see a Ratchet in Earthrise by the end of it, or Ratchet will go into Part 3. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I mean, we see an Ironhide, so everyone's just. It's not really a what if. It's more like a when it's going to happen for Ratchet.
When. Yeah. That's true. But what I think they're doing is I think they're swapping out which figures are exclusives from line to line. So if you were only walking into Maya, Maya, Target, etc., and picking up general regular releases, by the end of it, you would have a full cast, because Ratchet was an exclusive last time. Now he'll be a mainline, and Ironhide's gone to the exclusive. So I think if you don't particularly care whether they're Cybertronian or Cybertronian designs or Earth, then it is possible to get the full cast by just buying regular retail releases now.
Yeah, and the more I look at this Prowl car mode, the more I'm thinking that this is just the Siege repainted, just sort of a few different painters.
It's slightly retooled so that the vehicle mode is not as obviously long. Like the windscreen is also raised up a little bit so you can sort of accommodate a human sitting in the other. But yeah, no, he looks. There's a clear difference around the feet and the lower leg design, but that might have just been something that they planned from the start, and the rest of it might be pretty much the same as it ever was, just a bit of a retool. Given the way that they've sort of handled the transition from Siege to Earthrise Optimus Prime, I wouldn't really be too surprised to see a few engineering changes, but probably the majority would probably be a retool of some kind.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the Siege Blue Streak, and yeah, you're right, the feet do look quite different.
The feet do look quite different, but I'm not so sure about the rest of him.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine the transformation sequence we've seen in Siege making that top half of the robot mode for Prowl that we're looking at.
And I think perhaps what they're trying to do is make them more G1 like with the Datsun design and the way that the legs and feet worked.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so that's 1 2-pack. So this is the Autobot Alliance 2-pack. It is released in November from Amazon. It is an Amazon US exclusive. Uncertain whether or not it's going to make its way to market anywhere else on the planet. It is. We'll talk a little bit about Amazon exclusivity in a minute. The other Amazon 2-pack that's been announced is this one, the Seeker Elites, Ramjet and Dirge. Now, these are, of course, repaints of the Earthrise Seeker mold. It is probably, I think it's the first time we've officially seen the cone heads done in this line. We know that Thrust is out there somewhere as a single coming in a later wave. But yeah, so if you want to complete your cone heads collection, you will need to get these guys. They do have vehicle modes or alt modes that very, very much honor their original G1 appearances with their distinctive wing designs. And of course, their robot modes do feature the cone head designs, and they've got the lower leg wing attachments that you expect from these two as well. They are, of course, repaints and retools of each other and of the original Earthrise Starscream mold. The Earthrise Starscream mold has also seen repaints in the notoriously difficult to acquire Cybertronian villains set with Skywarp and Thundercracker as well. And if you can get your hands on that, you may as well, because at this point it's really hard to. So it does look likely that we're going to see all 6 Seekers released in this. I think the count of Tetrajet Seekers from Siege is up to 8 with the release of Hotlink. I'm not sure. There was the 3-pack. There was Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker, and
Red Wing
and Hotlink. So yes, I think it's up to 8 now. So Earthrise looks to be fairly close behind that tally with probably 6 so far. We'll see how we go. There's not really that much to say. They are just retools of Starscream. Starscream's been fairly well received depending on who you speak to. Yeah, if you're mad for the Seekers and you want to collect the whole lot, you are going to have to find a way out to acquire these. Now, we have been doing a little bit of digging since these were announced on Friday night. Now, they are listed on Amazon.com. Now, it's really important if you are listening to the podcast in Australia, you would probably have a tendency to go to Amazon.com.au and look for these. You won't find them there. You need to go to Amazon.com. Amazon's been a little bit tricky. They won't ship these to Australia, but they will ship them to a freight forwarder who will ship them to Australia. So the secret to this, at least being able to order them, is to make sure that you have a US shipping address on your Amazon account. Now, you can get a US shipping address from a lot of different freight forwarders. I prefer to use ComGateway. There's also Shopmate, which I think is run by Australia Post. And there's also Buy and Ship, which actually, if you have a Buy and Ship account, you can ship from a number of places around the world through them. I use ComGateway mostly, but Buy and Ship is also starting to become popular with me because they charge your shipment based on how much it weighs rather than the volumetric weight, which can be very, very helpful with some of these things. So what you have to do is you need to sign up to these services, get your US address, log on to Amazon.com, go to edit your addresses, put your US address in there and set it as your default. Because as you're browsing Amazon.com, if it thinks you want to ship away from the US, it won't let you order these guys. So once you make sure that you've got your US address set as your default, you can go into the pre-order page for these guys and you can order as many of them as you want. Note that Amazon doesn't actually charge you for them until they're ready to ship. Now, the Seekers are due to ship halfway through next month. So that's, I think they're released around August 15th. You can get free shipping within the US. So that's free shipping from Amazon to your freight forwarder. Amazon will ship them for free. and that'll take 7 to 10 business days because it's the free shipping option. You can throw a few dollars at Amazon to speed that up if you want to, if you really can't wait. Once they arrive at your freight forwarder, you will have to give your freight forwarder instructions to send them to you, and you'll have to pay the international shipping there. Yeah. The important thing with this is that Amazon won't charge you until they're ready to ship. And if at any point in the next, the 19th of July, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Amazon Australia might offer these for sale. We originally thought that Amazon Australia was not going to offer the alternate universe Dead Prime, but they did just this week. Amazon Australia offered it as a US import from Amazon.com at a pretty good price of $80. And if you have Amazon Prime, that was $80 including shipping. So you can go at this one or two ways. My suggestion, if you're really into making sure that you want to get these 2-packs, order them from Amazon.com now. Be prepared to pay the international shipping going through ComGateway or wherever your freight forwarder is. And if you find that they're released or put up for pre-order by someone else and you'd rather buy from them, and I don't know whether you'll really save that much money for them. I think it'll come out about the same. But if you'd rather get them from someone else, put your order in and then duck over to Amazon and cancel the other order.
Yeah.
Like if Amazon hasn't charged you for it yet, then you're not going to be out of pocket for it. There's been so many orders for these things going in. Amazon's not really going to care. Just be aware that August 15th is the release date for the Seekers. So if you don't find it anywhere else before then, it's gonna charge you and ship. And November 1st is the release for the Autobot Alliance pack. Now, speaking very specifically about ComGateway, ComGateway can hold things for about 3 months. I'm not sure if that's actually 3 months for Prime members or just 1 month for the public, but you could send the Seekers to ComGateway and hold on to them and just pay a little bit extra for them to hold them, or you can send them and ship them at the same time. It is more economical if you pair up with some buddies who are into them and buy 4 or 5 of them and split the shipping that way. So you'll pay less on that international shipping leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having said that, they are also listed at OMIPrimus, but they're $60 US for the Seekers and $40 US for the Autobot Alliance pack. OMIPrimus is listing the Seekers at, I believe it's about 110 Singapore dollars. With conversion, that'll go up to about $115 to $120. OMIPrimus's shipping is very reasonable, so it would be less to ship it from Singapore to Australia than it would from the US. But the base price is probably a little bit higher anyway. If you like to order from OMIPrimus and there's other stuff in stock that you want, then you may as well do it. Anyway, that's me talking about shipping for a little bit longer. It's really quite boring. Let's talk about the last cool reveal. And when I say cool reveal, this one is seriously cool. Just a day before the Fan First Friday reveal of it, it did sneak out as an official announcement. Now, there's every good reason to believe that this was going to be an SDCC set, but of course, with no SDCC this year, they've got to do something else with it. Now, we are looking at the Quintesson Pit of Judgment. Now, if you've ever wanted to recreate the scenes from the 86 movies, you've been missing Quintessons all this time. There is a Quintesson coming out in as a Voyager in Wave 2 of Earthrise, and they've given him a more G1 accurate paint job in this set. So you get a Quintesson judge, you get a prosecutor, you get a repaint of Alicon. And you also get a little Sharkticon as well, because you can't have a pit without Sharkticons.
No.
If you've been army building Sharkticons all of this time, and I'm looking at a few people in TCCA, your time is now with this set. Like, you can just pile it high. You pile it high with Sharkticons down there. And of course, there is a little figure in the middle that represents Kranix, who was I think Kranix might have been the first figure that was on screen in the 86 movie. Oh, well, actually, no, that's not true, because it would have been Unicron.
Yeah.
But one of the first non-Unicron.
I think he was the first character to speak.
Yes, that's probably right. And yeah, so you get a little Kranix, and so we've got a couple. I got a couple of close-ups of some of the figures now. it's we talked a little bit about this during the live stream. It looks like the tentacles on the Quintessons. I just don't know. The tentacles look like they might be molded into that form, but sort of able to hinge up and down. There was some discussion during the live stream, though. Someone said that it looked like the tentacles actually have wires in them, and that they might actually be soft and posable. So I don't know. I think if you look at this, if you look at the way this tentacle is holding the gun here, and we go back to the box, I think you can sort of see that shape of the tentacle there. So I think they might just sort of fly up and down with the hinge. I'm not really sure.
It might be like the one I got. This what's this one?
The Cyberverse one?
Cyberverse one, yeah. It's got ball joints, and the tentacles themselves don't actually move. It's just the ball joint that attaches to the figure. This is something we'll
probably find out when the Earthrise ones come out soon. But either way, like, it's nice to sort of have a Quintesson figure with tentacles. He's got the five faces of darkness on there as well. It looks like he comes with a little gun to hold people up as well. This is a bit of a close-up look at the Sharkticon eating Kranix. The Sharkticon design is really nice. He's got shiny eyeballs, and I believe it's just a little bit more animation accurate than we've seen before.
I think
at least the movie.
Metallic paint, and he just, again, looks like it's just popped out right of the movie.
So this is the Titans Return Sharkticon. We have seen this mold before. A lot of people own this mold, and a lot of people army built this mold, but he's fine. He's a good Sharkticon. The Alicon repaint is really weird, and I got to admit, I don't quite remember what color the Alicons are meant to be from the movie. So to me, this is just an interesting repaint. I thought that the Siege colors, I thought the Earthrise general release colors for Alicon were pretty accurate, but I'm just not sure.
The ones in Earthrise are accurate. It was silver with green, or silvery grey with green on it. I think this is just meant to evoke the Executor that you see in the Quintesson Judge scene. And you don't see him transform; you just see him in his robot mode. So I think that's why they went with that color scheme, because this just looks weird.
There was a bit of debate about this on Friday night stream, but it's actually been so long since I've watched the movie that I couldn't really tell you what it was evoking. But if it's the Executioner, then there you go.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's the Executioner and there's the Prosecutor as well. Really loving the tentacle work on the Prosecutor too. And as they did point out in the live stream, all the actual Quintessons have blast effect ports on the bottom of them because they are known to hover on energy beams. Yeah,
it's just the one thing that throws me off is the scale. I mean, I know if they were all to be relatively scaled, the price of this box set will probably double or triple. It's just weird seeing Kranix being so small. Whereas
I think it's okay that Kranix is so small because, I mean, from like a Force perspective, the Quintessons sit high on the throne and everyone looks small. But I think I'm quite happy. I really want this set. I've wanted it since the moment it was revealed. It is not yet listed for sale anywhere. Griffin from Ozformers says that if it comes to Australia, it might go to EB Games. It might also go to Mr. Toys, which would be an interesting outlet for it. But the word is that it's become difficult for Hasbro Australia to secure stock because other countries are ordering more of these than we've seen elsewhere. So than we can get in Australia. So. The word is that Hasbro Australia wants to bring it into the country, but might not be able to. I kind of call bullshit and shenanigans on this explanation. Like, if they want it, they should just order it and make sure that it comes here. Well, I mean, it's Hasbro. Hasbro is no stranger to making it difficult to acquire these things. I just had to spend 5 minutes explaining how international shipping works because Amazon's got exclusives on figures that people want.
Yeah, I think the big question is, though, if you were to get this set, the picture of the diorama, can we go to that?
Yes.
See, if that is how the box set is presented, I would probably keep it in box. How about you?
So I wouldn't. I think if you keep it
I
in
don't
the
think it will
box,
be like that because that's obviously requires too much restraint and plastic stuff to keep it like that. But
I think the box actually is like this because you can sort of see the angles and the front of the box. But I wouldn't keep it in the box because the branding and the names and stuff will cover up some of it. It is designed to be able to be taken out of the box and displayed like this. So I quite like it that way. And I think you can sort of see that they could mold the plastic just to sort of like hold the figures all in place wherever they are. I think they can probably do that. And like Kranix might just have a sort of a half bubble of plastic behind him or something. He might just be right at the front of the box. So I think I'd probably take it out and display it. Yeah,
it'll be funny doing it, replacing Kranix with Cup and Hot Rod because in comparison,
I think the cardboard ramp will probably fall off.
Yeah,
but yeah. I think it's only really meant to evoke Kranix's scene, but yeah, we'll see.
Did they say if the Kranix is a new mold? Because it looks like a repaint of Minimus is it Ambus from?
So they did say that. I'm not sure I can zoom in any more than this. They did say that I think they said he's a slug, so he doesn't transform, and I think his only articulation might be his arms. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like you can pretty much see the line around his arms there, but not that much else. Let's see if I can. No, I can't zoom in anymore. I do this? No, it doesn't work.
I can just imagine them like doing a repaint of Kranix into Arbalest, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck's that? Why would I want Arbalest?"
No, if they do that, it'll be the even more exclusive Amazon version, or it'll only be sold in 1,985 editions of them, exclusive to Walmart.
Oh yeah, it'll be sold out after you've been waiting up for it, and then it's just gone.
Exactly. I'm not bitter.
No, of course not. Not you.
All right, that is actually it. We have actually been going for about an hour, so I would suggest it's probably time for us to finish the show. Fan First Friday reveals which of these are you going to acquire for yourself, Bradley?
Should we have another quick flick through them?
You can just tell me yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Let me.
I'll also go get you also got to get your input as well. I mean, we've just had a look. We haven't said if we're going to be acquiring these or not.
All right, hubcap.
Yes.
Kind of don't care, but maybe. Grease pit. I'm probably going to look to get.
So far, it's no.
Yeah. Exhaust. I do want exhaust. I don't actually have Earthrise Wheeljack, so this might well be that version of that mold for me.
I've got Earthrise Wheeljack, and like I said before, I have wanted a version of this toy because I really like that head sculpt. And yeah, this is definitely going to get it. Definitely going to get it.
All right. Netflix. Any of the Netflix deluxes? We have Elita 1, Wheeljack, Impactor, Red Alert, and Bumblebee. Are you into any of those guys?
Remotely interested in Bumblebee. Everything else is a solid pass. How about you?
Pretty much the same, but if it's too hard to get the Netflix version, I'm willing to wait until Phase 3. So I've avoided naming Phase 3 because it's news that we haven't really covered, but it has been announced, and really weirdly, Hasbro has allowed Netflix to announce what the third chapter of the War for Cybertron saga will be called, and it is called Kingdom. There's a lot of speculation that this is going to lead to a time travel plot where the figures, the characters that we've seen in Siege and Earthrise will travel back in time to the beast counterparts, hence the name Kingdom, in a reference to the animal kingdom. We will see. So Bumblebee does feature heavily on the Kingdom poster. He's right next to Optimus Prime. He's one of the most prominent characters. So this is very likely a forward release of what's coming in Kingdom. So you'll probably get a Bumblebee in Kingdom if you don't get the Netflix one.
Yeah, and with the Elita 1 toy, I've already got the Power of the Primes Jet one, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sort of, yeah.
Voyagers, Optimus Prime, and there's Optimus Prime and his pea-coloured potty, and Soundwave and his minions. Which ones are you into there?
Like I said, remotely interested in Soundwave, but again, I've got music label Soundwave as my classic Soundwave. Optimus Prime is a pass. How about you?
I've got too many Optimus Primes in the last couple of years, but so I have Earthrise Prime. I don't need another one. I am interested in Soundwave. I don't have a Siege Soundwave. I resisted him, and my resistance has sort of been paid off. I believe I said last year at some point of the podcast that I really hope at some point someone does special editions of these guys without the battle damage, and look what happened.
Okay.
I may look at getting a Soundwave. I don't know.
Would you wait to see if they're going to announce other cassettes? Would that cement it for you?
No, I don't care about the cassettes. They don't.
Fair enough.
Like, I only need like Ravage and Laserbeak. If there's Rumble and Eject, sure, but I don't see them really coming into the Netflix line because Netflix doesn't do those small figures. They don't do Battle Masters and Micro Masters.
Yeah, fair enough.
Other than that, leader box, kind of don't care.
Nah, don't really care. Yeah. I mean, if it's going to be anything like last year or last time with a slightly different repaint of Ultra Magnus, and this could be a slightly different repaint of, who do we get leader class? Astro Train or Optimus?
They have also said that this one does feature the weird Play-Doh where like accessories are buried in the Play-Doh like we had in the first one as well. Like I don't understand why, but yeah.
No, that just sounds dodgy to me. How about you, Ewan? Oh well, yeah.
Not into the leader class box. I reserve the right to change my mind if it comes out and it's really cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon 2-packs I have already ordered. That's how I know that all of this stuff with Com Gateway works. How about yourself?
No, I'm gonna make peace with my Siege, Prowl, and Ironhide. They're serviceable. You can say they're Earth modes.
They are definitely serviceable. There's no shame in that whatsoever. What about the Seekers?
I'm in the process. A friend and I are looking at buying the Skywarp Thundercracker set. Mm-hmm. I reckon if we can get those, I would definitely be keen for this price-wise. That's probably going to be a big clincher for me. Also, with Thrust coming out, I'm just going to have to say yes. Pretty much yes. How about you?
I have already ordered these as well. I'm not sure whether or not they'll have a permanent home in the collection, though. We will see.
Okay, fair enough.
And the Quintesson Pit of Judgment is a solid yes from me.
Very solid 95% yes for me as well.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, that's sounding good. Are you looking to go to the overseas import route to get them? So it looks like we're going to have to for a lot of these.
Possibly. Like I said before, my friend, he's got like Amazon Prime, and he ordered Optimus Prime when it came available on Amazon. But I'm just going to ask him if he does have a freight forwarder, and if so, if he wants to do that for these as well.
Cool. Sounds good. I am using my Com Gateway account for these, and I'm also bringing in a few for other people as well. But we'll see how that goes.
Just wondering if next week's podcast is going to be sponsored by Comgate.
Maybe we'll find out. We'll say, if it is sponsored by Com Gateway, I'm going to get you to do the live read for it.
Okay, gladly.
Yeah. All right. That is pretty much it. This has been a sort of a quick off-the-cuff special edition to talk about the Fan First Friday reveals. We should be back with a regular edition podcast either this Friday or next Friday. It depends how much other news breaks in the meantime. And thus, with that, thank you for joining us all. And Bradley, tell everyone how to find you on Twitch.
Twitch.tv//GroovyGuy0069. I'm currently I'm at 236 followers on there. As soon as I hit 250, my hair is going green, the beard's staying the same, but yeah, head's going green. So come on over. I'm always happy to talk about Transformers.
So the carpet won't match the drapes?
Yeah.
All right, just look for the big pair of legs with the green screen between them. You can catch me on Twitter at twitter.com/JM77. And of course, you can find both of us in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia discussion group on Facebook. Thanks for watching. There's been a couple of people watching as we do this live record on a Sunday night. It's been nice, and
maybe we should move the regular thing to a Sunday night.
Maybe. No, I can't give up my Sunday nights that much. But, yeah. I mean, how else am I going to watch Big Brother anyway?
Oh God,
it's nearly finished. All right.
Anyway.
Anyway. All right. That is it. End of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you are listening to this out as a podcast, thank you for downloading us. And we will be with you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.